Welcome to Dinner and a Movie.
The show where we review a movie over dinner and at the end determine what was better, the dinner or the movie.
It's usually the movie.
Today
It's gonna be the movie.
Today it's Avengers Endgame versus Enter the Food.
The food from the movie. So we got Thor's Way of Getting Fat, aka beer. We have cheeseburgers, which is what Morgan H. Stark says at the beginning. She's like, I want a cheeseburger. And then you get all sentimental because that's what Tony had in Iron Man 1. And then things happen. And then we also have tacos, because there's that really funny scene with Hulk giving Ant-Man his tacos. And we like that scene as well.
Let's go ahead and get started. Which one of you wants to give the brief overview of the movie?
All right, so the movie is after the last movie,
Infinity War,
where humanity lost. We pick up pretty much right after when they try to pull the pieces back together, and they don't really until, maybe the end of the movie.
Who knows? Watch the movie and find out.
The Avengers fight Thanos. It's a pretty huge movie.
Yeah. I really can't think of a way to summarize this movie without just being like, do you know who Iron Man is?
Honestly, if you haven't seen the other movies, you're not going to care about this movie. If you have seen the other movies, you should care about this movie.
Yeah.
It's quite emotional.
Yeah.
There were some people in the theater seeing it for the first time when we went for the re-release.
Yeah.
And
this was my third time seeing it.
My third as well.
Yeah.
I had the same emotions. I was able to hold it together, but, if you're not...
Yeah.
I will say, that typical question of, like, what movie would you want to re-experience for the first time? Definitely this one. Because not that, like, the epicness is any less. It's just that when you expect it coming, it doesn't hit you the same. Mm-hmm. So this is definitely one of those movies where I really wish I could re-experience it for the first time.
That said, I still get goosebumps. I still get chills. Like, there's so many very cool moments in this movie.
Exactly.
Hey, Jonathan, do you want some mild sauce?
I'm okay. I don't
on
trust
his burger.
I don't trust you. So let's talk about what we liked.
Everything.
With the movie. Okay.
So it's a movie that has the impossible task of having
culminating 10 years worth of movies.
Not even that. Having it does that.
I mean, yeah.
But having like, I don't know, 10-ish main characters and giving them each enough time for you to still feel and still enjoy and still understand what's going on. Some movies kind of overdo that, where they have too many characters and too many side plots. But this movie is pretty much like side plots the movie, but they're like, because there's so much going on and you're jumping between so many different plots, but it doesn't feel
disjointed.
Yeah, it doesn't feel disjointed.
It's really the second act of the movie where all those plot threads happen.
Yeah.
The first act is like...
That's pretty straightforward.
Dealing with the repercussions of Infinity War. Second act is trying to fix it. And that's where all the different plot threads are happening. And then the third act is just the fight of their lives, like avenging.
Avenging it.
And then you have your resolution and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, and then it wraps up. Yeah.
But they did a good job, like Grant said, balancing all of the characters that they needed to balance and focusing on who they needed to when they needed to.
The pacing is amazing.
Yeah.
The pacing...
It does not feel like a 3-hour movie.
It really doesn't. It really does not. Yeah.
Well, just think about it. They how do you pace a movie like that? And then that's a question that I'm sure every director has asked. How do I pace my 4-hour movie and it not be crap? Mm-hmm. And they paced it really well. It doesn't fall apart. It's just, I can't say anything really bad about it because like...
And it really is, especially the second act, it feels like of the past 10 years, this is the greatest hits. Like, because they do... this isn't a spoiler, it's in the trailers. They time travel,
Is
right?
that in the trailers?
Yeah, it is. Definitely is now.
Definitely
is for the re-release.
For the re-release? Okay.
We won't spoil everything.
No.
Because there are definitely
not the big things.
Definitely some cool moments that you should see for yourself.
Another thing that you're supposed to avoid in movies, time travel. They do that really well.
They really do it well.
And they take time travel and kind of flip it in its head a little bit. Like, it's not what you typically think of when you think of time travel.
And, like, to their credit, with all the things that they had to wrap up, like, literally 10 years worth of movies and all these different characters giving them things to do, They do an excellent job at accomplishing that.
Nobody
and-
feels second fiddle.
No. Like even though Ant-Man probably had like realistically like 20 minutes of screen time, like you definitely.
Well, when you think about it,
feel-
Hulk too.
Yeah, you
Like, he doesn't
definitely
have
feel
very
like
much screen time.
they're a pivotal part of the movie.
Yeah.
Come back to it again and again. The
It's-
sheer amount of characters just makes it better.
And it's funny, it's emotional, it's got incredible action. The CGI is spectacular.
And fan service that's not gimmicky.
No, exactly. It doesn't feel, with the exception of maybe one or two things, it doesn't feel forced. Matt said maybe we should go into nitpicks because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have seen it. Again, we've seen it multiple times. I think we can nitpick it a little bit.
So I hesitate to call this a nitpick just because it's kind of one of those things where there's so many different fan theories about it that could solve it and everything. But like there are some kind of plot hole type things
definitely.
that you kind of have to stretch a little bit to figure out. That being said, I've heard tons of fan theories and stuff from the directors as well as other people involved with the film.
The writers and directors do not agree on some things.
The
No.
directors are right.
No,
then.
but yeah, well,
Oh, yeah.
but either like whichever theory you choose to believe, they're all incredibly plausible. Like I don't think there's very much that like they're plot holy, but they're not
it's not a big deal.
a big deal. It's a nitpick.
And the way they do time travel is literally like, here's how you cover up a plot hole.
It's also comic books too, so it's like
Yeah, still, it should like play within its own rules. It does that, but yeah,
I think they would have figured out that they could have time traveled right away.
yeah.
Instead of going about the roundabout way of like. But okay, well, sorry. What I mean by that is they could have figured out that they could have gone back in time, picked up the things that they needed to be able to time travel, and then just gone about their business however they wanted to.
Instead of trying to like force it with the stuff that they had.
Yeah, it's kind of So it's definitely not forced like to the audience, but if you like
Plot hole.
when you
Yeah.
think about it.
yeah, when you think about it, it's like I could go back in time 10 days and just stop and get gas, or I could thread the needle and just like roll up to the gas station.
Now, with what we said earlier about characters getting good moments and being serviced well, I think that there are some characters that, while they definitely still got moments, they did get swept under the rug because the main six, the first six in
Yeah.
Avengers, they definitely had to shine.
Yeah,
Brightest of
which
the
is
movie.
when this is the culmination of 10 movies that began with those characters.
Yeah.
I almost feel
They
like you
have
have to
to.
do it.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, but at the same time, it is like, as much as that is a nitpick, that's also just kind of goes to show how well they did handle it for what they had to work with.
Here's also the not difference, but the thought that goes into that. A lot of the characters, not that they're ending, but they're coming to their stories are coming to a close. A lot of the main six, their stories, it's their long story.
Big arcs have
Yeah.
It's coming to a close. And this movie's happening in the middle of some of the other characters, and they
or
got
at the beginning, like with Spider-Man, for instance.
yeah, so they kind of get
Like-
sucked down to a B tier in terms of like they're supporting, they're still important.
All right, so let's move on because I don't think we have like a ton of nitpicks. Honestly, we're pretty hardcore Marvel fanboys, so
So chances are we're not gonna
be
dog on it.
Yeah, we're not gonna be
much.
super hard on it. That said, it does have a couple of things you can nitpick, but like nothing glaringly major is the problem with it.
Really, its biggest downfall is that you kind of need to watch a bunch of other movies before you
have
watch
to.
it.
Yeah,
Like-
there's no point in watching this by itself, honestly.
Yeah, no. Like, if you've never seen a Marvel movie and you just come into this, not saying, like, I'm pretty sure you could probably figure out some things throughout
It's
the thing.
watching
but, like,
the third act of a play.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, what?
So,
okay, why do I care?
so that's probably its biggest thing. Like, and for somebody who's not a Marvel fan who hasn't watched the movies, that's probably going to be a big deterrent.
But again, like, why would you want to watch it?
No, I
If
get
you
that.
haven't seen the other ones.
I get
You're
that.
just gonna miss out on a lot.
I would accept somebody saying you want to go see it because it's pretty much a cultural phenomenon at this
Yeah.
point. So you'd want to experience it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You should have jumped on the bandwagon a long time
Yeah.
ago.
Or like, marathon through them now and then see it.
Yeah.
But,
All right,
okay,
let's
so
move
food.
on to the food we got here. So this is just the buffet of poor choices. We've got McDonald's, a McDonald's cheeseburger. We've got a Taco Bell taco, and we've got beer. So
I think I did a pretty good job with the beer though.
the beer's not bad. I'm just
will say,
not
like,
going to feel great tomorrow.
As somebody who
I'm gonna
doesn't
feel amazing.
like beer, this is actually not bad.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
because
honest.
it's not really a beer.
Yeah.
Well,
It's barely. It's
it's a berry ale, I
I'm
guess.
trying this.
It's very sweet. Boulevard
Yeah.
did
See,
a great
it's not
job
bad.
with
That's
that.
like having a lemonade. What the heck?
It's
beer.
above a hard soda
Yeah.
in terms of because it still does taste like a beer.
Yeah.
but it definitely
So
has
there's a
the.
bitterness to it, but
Mine is a tart ale with grapefruit added.
I thought you'd like that because it's not just beer.
try taste yours.
Go for it.
Awesome.
It's quite grapefruity.
Um,
Yeah. Honestly,
I
it's.
still like that better, but it's not bad.
And mine is a Hefeweizen, which
Yeah,
is
I'm not
drink
trying that.
it's the best beer here, just so you know, like for the record.
In Nebraska.
Yeah, it is made in
Oh,
Nebraska.
you
actually.
mean in the best beer of these?
Yeah,
three?
yeah,
Got
it,
it.
yeah, it is.
I'm always a fan of Taco Bell, to be honest. I probably shouldn't be proud of that because it's really not healthy for you.
I'm gonna be
Like I
in
said
and out of the
before.
bathroom all tonight and tomorrow.
I don't know. There's not really much else to say about it. I mean, like,
it's Taco Bell.
if you've lived at any point in life, you've probably had McDonald's and you've probably maybe had Taco Bell. That one's probably a little less likely.
I mean,
but
you've had some sort of incarnation of Taco Bell.
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe not their tacos, but you've probably had like nachos or what are you doing?
yeah.
I have a piece of I have something stuck in my teeth.
Okay, so any final thoughts you guys want to slip in before we
To no one's surprise, I think we can move on and just
to the
to make our
to
decision.
the
Let me
final
just-
verdict?
Let me just put it out. Movie.
Yeah.
Yep,
Cool.
Ding, ding, ding.
We don't have to draw this out any longer.
Nope.
We're gonna go with the movie.
The movie was better.
It's just so good, and it makes me, for someone who grew up on the comics and grew up, watching, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy and all these other superhero
I mean, the
movies.
best Spider-Man trilogy.
Wrong. Well, the only trilogy so far, but
Yeah.
it makes me really happy, and it's like it just fills me. Same with like the schoolboy giddiness of when we
The
went and saw
Detective
Detective
Pikachu?
Pikachu.
Yeah.
It fills me with that childhood wonder and glee.
Yeah, and like I always was interested in the comic books. I never was a hardcore comic book reader. I knew who some of the really big main characters were. I didn't get into comic books until I started watching Marvel movies. But that being said, I did get into this with Iron Man. Like I started with Iron Man and then watched
Yep,
all of them
same.
through. And with the exception of maybe one or two, I've seen every single Marvel movie in the MCU in theaters. And so I've been dedicated to this for the past 10 years of my life. And
That lead up made it so much better.
yes, exactly.
I've definitely seen them all in theaters since Avengers. I can't say I saw. I'm pretty sure I saw Captain America in theaters, but I definitely didn't see Iron Man or Hulk in theaters.
I didn't see that was one of the one or two that I haven't
Right,
seen, but
yeah.
I watched.
But since Avengers,
then, I've seen
definitely
everything at
seen
least.
everything.
Doctor Strange is the only other one that actually no, I take that back. I did see that one. In
Doctor
theaters.
Strange is great.
It is good. Yeah, underrated.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
So the movie clearly wins. You should see Avengers Endgame. If you haven't seen it, you should watch through.
the
Actually,
other movies,
that's
yeah.
a great lead into this. So we have a podcast called The Chocolate Dollar Show. We're gonna have a very spoiler-heavy, in-depth discussion about Endgame. And in that episode, we're also going to discuss for the people who haven't seen Marvel movies up to this point, what movies you have to see in order to see Endgame.
We're gonna get real geeky and nerdy.
We're going to get
with
real
it.
geeky. We've got other really fun episodes to listen to there as well. You can find all of that. Links are in the description below. You can listen to it on iTunes. You listen to it on YouTube. You can listen to it on iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, all that fun stuff. So it's longer, but it's...
We got a lot of stuff planned for the future too. We got more dinner in the movies. So subscribe.
yeah. We
and
got one for
more
Spider-Man
podcasts.
coming out soon.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Stay tuned.
yeah. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and check out all the links in the description, and we'll see you in the next video.
Avengers
Assemble.
assemble.
We love you 3000.